Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our Conversations show here on CTSB. And I'm really excited today because joining me is Lelia Bruun, who is the fund representative for Berkshire County for the Fresh Air Fund. And welcome,
Thank
Lelia.
you so much.
And this is very exciting because I think growing up, I grew up in the Berkshires around the lakes, and there's so many camps, wonderful camps, and although I never got to experience it, I heard from many friends how the kids from the Fresh Air Fund came to live with them for the summer or experience camp. So I've heard the stories before, and I've watched some of the videos, and what a life-changing experience. So let's start out by telling me, well, for those at home who don't know, what is the Fresh Air Fund?
Okay, so the Fresh Air Fund started in 1877, about 146 years ago. It started really humbly by a minister in rural Pennsylvania who, at the time, our cities were experiencing a lot of tuberculosis. They didn't quite know how that illness was spread, but they knew that fresh air was an element that was beneficial. So that minister said, let's bring the kids out from the city. And then we soon learned that tuberculosis was an illness when people were tightly congested. That coughing created the spread of that illness. But taking kids out of the city eliminated that. That exposure to fresh air gave them that opportunity. That they saw the beneficial elements of that and continued that both from health much as social health, just experiencing the opportunities to see the outdoors, to see stars above you at night, to hear and see cows and all those elements, to eat fresh food. So that continued for the last year, or last 146 years of inviting children from the New York City area, the 5 boroughs, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan, and Queens. Children that were starting years ago at 5 years of age. Now we start at 8. This year we've upped that age to 8, up to 14. We've upped that age from 12 and 13 to 14 this year. It aligns with our camp program. We have we have a range of programming that we offer. I represent here in the Berkshires, from Williamstown to Sheffield, all of Berkshire County, what's called Friendly Town. It's where children are welcomed into our towns. The program actually typically ranges from Maine down to Virginia, 13 states along the East Coast, and into the province of Canada. So, but at the moment, post-COVID, we're still rebuilding and coming back slowly. Last year, we only welcomed children returning to their same family, the same child, and only 3 hours from New York. So we're still working closely to make sure that if a need arose with the host family or the city child, that we could get them back to the city without creating any health issues for anyone along the path. So this year we do have new host families and new children, but still 3 hours from New York. But it's basically an opportunity for the city kids, for those of us who live outside of the city, to really have the joy and the opportunity, much like you were talking about with those that went to camp, to experience just a summer of fun,
Yeah, it's two different worlds. So, up here we go into the city for arts and culture and all those things. And those students don't get to experience what we take for granted, which is the woods and the streams and the lakes. And boy, the Berkshires are full of them. These dirt roads going down to these great campsites, and from Beckett to Williamstown. I mean, it's to Sheffield. It's quite amazing. So, tell me, why is it important for these kids to kind of maybe step out of their comfort zone and come up here?
Yeah, I think it's a huge benefit. I mean, I think my kids have benefited from seeing another child do that. Think of an 8-year-old that's going on an 11-hour trip culturally. I mean, many of our kids don't even make that jump to do a camp or a summer abroad. And they're basically doing that as an 8-year-old to a completely different cultural experience. You're walking on grass, and we take that for granted. But city kids can't go to the park and pull off their shoes and walk on grass. You have to be very careful. I mean, a lot of kids are taught as soon as the street lights come on, you come home. The streets are not safe. Whereas here, it's very different. Of course, we have to always be mindful of safety, but it's a very different kind of experience. I always say green doesn't always mean safe. You know, here, it could be poison ivy, and a city child's not going to know that. I've made that mistake as soon as I came here. I walked right through nettles, and then all of a sudden my legs were on fire, and someone questioned why I did that, and I was like, I had no idea. But the opportunities to really grow and expand, the fact that 2 different families could love you that look very different is a very powerful experience. And to have all those cultural experiences, be it food, and they're expanding our understanding as much as we're expanding perhaps their understanding, because we each have different elements that we can offer as far as our gifts and our talents and resources. So it's a huge opportunity for both of us to learn from each other. I mean, I've had my city kids look out and say, whose park is that? And that is my backyard. I live in Great Barrington, and I live on a very tiny piece of in-town property. But there's a swing set in the backyard. And to that child, it looked like a park. And who owned that? And then it went quickly to who owns that building? And I was like, that's our garage where we put our cars. To our city kids sometimes asking, you don't lock your car? You don't lock your house? And it's very different here. I mean, we do always have to be mindful of safety, but we have luxuries that city people don't always have. That, you know, it's an opportunity for us to share.
Yeah, it's a whole other world. It's life-changing, and I can see how that memory would last a lifetime, and friendships.
It is very powerful. When we do a yearly conference, that is, I mean, I like all of the conference. I love being with all the other volunteers who have this kind of just love for life and kindness toward others. And I love learning about how we can do the program better each year. But it is the inspirational stories of hearing our former Fresh Air Fund children, who are young adults or adults, speak about when they went to meet their family and what they did and how it transformed who they became and what they did. It is beyond just hallmark, tears flowing from everybody, laughter. It is extremely powerful to hear the impact that just 2 loving people can have on each other, even for a week of the summer. But those weeks sometimes turn into years of people hosting the same child over and over again, and people coming back for weddings and funerals and holidays outside of the summer. So there are some people that have very long-term relationships from those experiences.
Yeah, so let's talk about the host family.
Yeah.
So the I call them campers, or the kids.
Yes.
They have a choice. So they can go to a summer camp, or they can spend time with the host family,
Yes.
with their kids, maybe seeing, having experiences with them, arts and culture in the Berkshires, or they can stay with a host family and possibly attend camp as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of options.
Yes.
So can you explain how a family would go about signing up,
Yes.
and what they could expect?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So people hear about the program in a variety of ways. I've put up posters from Williamstown down to Sheffield, 150. Of course, I'm speaking to you, and I'm hoping people are listening and hearing the way that they can get involved, and a variety of other ways that I outreach to the community. Once somebody hears something, it's really for them. Either they can go to our online, freshair.org. They can find out more. I think you said you got on, and you can listen to other host families speak about their experience. The city parents speak about their experience. Sometimes we have kids talking about their experience, both as adults now. So there's a range of information you can get, or just calling the local chairperson, or in my case, the fund rep, and just saying, I heard about this. I just want to know a little bit more so that I know if this might be something we'd like to do. And so I just have a easy conversation. What questions do you have? Let me tell you a little bit about it. So basically, once a host family calls, I can give them information about the range of the age of the kids. You know, they're 8 to 14-year-olds. What's the process of completing an application online, to getting your references, your background checks, and interviewing you. Basically doing a home safety check, making sure if we're sending a child to your home, are your pets friendly? If you have a pool, how do you keep it safe? If you happen to have firearms, which Berkshire County people may be hunting and have that, we want to make sure that your ammunition and your guns are stored separately and safely. Do you have a working fire alarm? I did an interview this week, and the host family didn't have all their fire alarms. Well, I want those families to be safe above and beyond even having a child there. So, I mean, they do live right across from the fire department, but they're in a new home. Basically, a family just calls in, gets the information, and then they can, from that, decide, well, who would work best in our house? Would we like to have a boy because we have boys? Would we like to have a girl? That doesn't matter to us, but the age would matter more. Having a child that might share a room, not the same bed, but they share a room, so they might be within 2 years of your own children's age. Maybe you don't have any children at all. And you might, in that case, have the opportunity to invite 2 kids up versus 1 child. So there's a lot for us to kind of cover to give you the information to feel comfortable and confident about what would your experience be. I think you were asking when the kids come up, what do they do? And they're really just part of your household. We're not asking someone to be Disney and an activities coordinator for the week and try to pack this in and that in and that in. And I think some households are like that, and that can be fine. That also can be very tiring. But it also can be like a vacation for us to kind of do things that we don't normally get to do. But I always say sometimes the best experiences you may have are the ones when you just do what you normally do. If you're walking the dog, going to get the mail, cooking something, setting the table, those are all enriching experiences that we learn from each other. We have downtime to talk. I think when I had a child, I've had 25 years of kids coming up. I am the family that typically looks for all the fun things to do. And we go here and we go there and we go there. But when we've stayed at home sometimes and just made the cupcakes for hours has been sometimes the best, because we get to know each other. We turn on music, we talk about that, we talk about other things. So I'd say just letting someone be part of your household and being open to their gifts to offer you too.
Yeah, getting out of the city and away from that noise, and maybe just reading a book on outside under a tree.
Absolutely,
it is a really big deal.
It's a big deal to these kids. Sometimes they're just like there's more than 1 or 2 siblings all packed into an apartment, and to have this free space and the freedom to just explore is, like you said. And our bookstores put in free books for our kids. So we try to encourage that while they're here. I mean, at least give them a book and see where that goes. But yeah.
And you were saying that you have events where families can get together and talk about their experience with changing a child's life.
Yes. So we all meet together at the bus stop. This time it's a little bit different. Usually the bus is coming directly to Berkshire County. I'm introducing families to one another. They have a list of who else is hosting, so we're trying to connect them if they're in the same towns or in different towns, but have same age kids or anything that, is helpful to one another. This year, because we are rebuilding post-COVID, and we've consolidated our busing, we are only this year working with host families within a 3-hour radius of New York. So we don't have buses going to Maine and down to Virginia. So we're using a bus that will stop off in Albany and will stop off in Amherst at the moment. Should we have a lot more families? we can revisit the opportunity for a bus to come directly here. But yes, I am responsible for calling all host families within 24 hours to see how they're doing. We have a 24-hour social service team that trains social workers who are always available to support our families. A question comes up, so-and-so didn't have their medicine, so-and-so's feeling this way, a city parent is checking in more than they need to. We always have that team available locally and in the city to make your experience work as best we can. And then we always try to plan a picnic. It may be interesting to see where our kids are. If we have one family this month, a few more this one, but we try to plan an opportunity for families to get together, so they can, enjoy a planned trip to the beach together. But because the Berkshires are so small, sometimes in going to a farmer's market or going to the library, I see or bump into people or hear from people who've already connected with other people. So I often hear about what the kids are doing before the end of their trip, and likewise.
That's great.
Catch up.
And how about the camps? What can you give me a little day in the life at the camp, and who are the counselors? I had seen in some of the videos that some of the counselors were former attendees as kids, and they loved it so much that they said, I'm going to be a counselor someday.
They're not even just counselors. Some of the kids this year, when we did our conference, instead of being in New York City in Times Square, which is close to our office, an easy hub for people coming from the 13 different states flying into New York City, that was very easy for us. This year, I think for a multitude of reasons, we did it at our 5 camps in upstate New York and Fishkill, New York. So we actually were the campers. Right. And while we were there, we got to meet much of the camp staff, do the activities that the camps have. We have a planetarium there. So some of us could sign up to go do a planetarium show. Some of us went on hikes. Some did arts and crafts, painting birdhouses. So we became the campers. But in meeting the camp staff, 2 of the camp directors were campers and camp counselors. So, we have such a wide range in the office. I'm trying all the time to get my fresh air fun chills that came to my house and others that I know to work for our office. We have PR office, we have fundraising. So who better to share about the program than those who are part of the program? And it's just an amazing group of people. But we do have 5 camps in upstate New York. Some people choose the Friendly Town program, which is what we have here in the Berkshires, and in other towns across Massachusetts, all the way, as I said, to Maine, Canada, and down to Virginia. But we do have 5 camps in upstate New York. For some families, their kids are more comfortable with a camp environment. Some of the camps are rustic. Tommy Helfinger is a big supporter. One camp is named for Mariah Carey because she is a huge funder of that camp. Some are all boys, all girls. Some are co-ed. Some have different age groups. They're all interconnected but completely separate from one another. They all seem to have a lake of their own. Some cabins are very rustic, no water, no heating. When we went to our conference, ours, of course, had hot showers and heating and bunk beds. But I grew up as a kid who got to go to church camp and Girl Scout camp, at least for a week of the summer. I think that was, for me, helped me futuristically be able to go on to college, knowing I'd been away from home, and meet new people and be successful. And I think that's what this program can do for our city kids who can then know, I can go off to college. I've been away from home. I've tried this. I've met other people. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like some of the video that we're playing over our conversation, you can see the smiling faces, swimming, art, just being out in nature, just being free for a moment, and like I can walk over here and I can, like, you have the space and the fresh air.
Yes.
But the video is just, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And the camp counselors they're part of the experience. They're not a hired hand. they've been in it before. They do it for, it's a passion for them, giving back to these kids.
Yeah.
So what can, we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Well, how can people at home help? Whether that be through donations or being a host family, where should they go? To the website?
Yes, they could go to freshair.org. They will circle right back if they want to do something locally. If usually I have a range of ways that people can be involved, and I can still do that. We always need people to interview. We've kind of changed that process a little bit more, so that we go through a very thorough process of really being able to be much more attuned to the safety steps that of people who are applying, and making sure beyond our background checks, beyond our reference checks and our home safety, that we're really listening to those who are appropriate for our program, and screening out those who, safety-wise, for any number of reasons, would not be a place we would have a child be in their home. So interview-wise, we could always take people. I have always done welcome baskets. Our business community is fabulous about welcoming the kids with books, ice cream cones, passes to go here or there, small gifts just to say thanks, welcome here. It's nice to get a swag bag of little things, and that makes it a little easier on the host family. It's so easy for me to call up the local community. They're like, sure, how many do you need? When do you need it? So it's not a really difficult job for those that want to do that. Planning a picnic, meeting, being a bus greeter or an escort. But I think my big focus is you can't have any of those if you don't have the host families. So mine is really putting the information out there to encourage people to start conversations about what is the program, would it work for our household. For me, I want people to understand you're just inviting a child to be part of your household and what you're doing. You're not leaving your house in your comfort. You're putting one more plate at the table, and just for 1 week, 6 days, having someone else be part of your household, to pet your dog or your cat, to help get the meal on the table, and expose them to just day-to-day life that's different than theirs in a loving way. So for some people, that is when they have kids. For some people, that's families that might not ever have kids. Some that have already had their kids and are retirees, but have the space. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to let people know that the program exists still. Please consider the possibility of welcoming a child for a week, and then taking the steps to make that happen.
And I can imagine if you do have kids of your own, whether it's a single child that would love to have a friend for the summer and share together and learn about their life, or you have 2 kids and it just becomes a larger group, it must change their life as well to have this person in their life to spend the summer with and share all these things. And I'm sure that friendship, especially now with social media, that friendship is gonna go very far into the future.
Yeah, I think the experiences can be different. I think my kids, they were 2 and 4 when we first started doing it, so they didn't kind of understand what we were doing. It was just another person there that they were sharing toys with and playing with, and I think it brought the world to them. They didn't have to go very far. They saw different people and had different experiences. I think they value that. I think they didn't invest themselves deeper into the longer friendships. But those kids have stayed part of our conversations and our lives, and I think very much so. I think there are other households where their kids are their best friends. They look forward to, they can't wait to see each other. Because of social media, they talk to each other all the time. So I think there's a different experience. I think it's still valid in my household that we did that and that the kids came. Obviously, I wouldn't do it for 25 years if it wasn't something that was really meaningful and significant. But I think everyone's experience is different, and what they get out of it and what they put into it.
Great. Lelia, I thank you for coming in today. I thank you for sharing these wonderful stories. I'm so happy that I've learned more about this. And what is the website address where people can learn more?
freshair.org. freshair.org. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, go check out freshair.org, and thank you for watching Conversations with Lelia Bruun, the fund representative for the Fresh Air Fund. And we always talk community television about sharing information and videos, and this is really the ultimate in sharing. You're sharing your home, and you're changing someone's life forever in a good,
Yes.
positive way. So check it out, and if it's something that sounds right for you, what a great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, and good luck, and
Thank you.
have a great summer, and good luck to all the kids.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.